Hello, good evening. Welcome to UPfront. Tonight, the Apostolic Fathers of Ghana, spearheaded by prominent leaders such as Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams, have raised an urgent call to action against illegal small-scale mining here in the Republic of Ghana. We call it Galamsey. The group is deeply concerned about the severe environmental degradation caused by this activity, including water pollution, deforestation, and the destruction of farmlands. In a bold press release, they demand a temporary ban on all forms of small-scale mining to curb the ongoing devastation and to protect the nation's future. The fathers have condemned politicians, traditional leaders, and foreign nationals involved in Galamsey, urging them to stop their harmful activities. They also call on institutions like the Water Resources Commission and the Environmental Protection Agency to strictly enforce regulations, whilst encouraging civil society organizations and the media to continue advocating for change. The Apostolic Fathers stress the sacred duty of Ghanaians to protect God's creations, and citing biblical scriptures that call for stewardship over the earth, they invite moral leaders, the clergy, and the general public to rise in defense of the environment, warning against the consequences of inaction. Joining me tonight for this all-important conversation is a member of the Apostolic Fathers and chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Full Gospel Church International, Bishop S.N. Mensah. Bishop, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
We're also keeping an eye on that response from the Electoral Commission in the press statement we expect to be happening in the jiffy, where the Electoral Commission will be telling us exactly what they say ahead of the NDC's planned demonstration on Tuesday. The Electoral Commission has actually mounted their own defense currently. We should be hearing from them right now. Come back to continue the conversation.
December 2024. The meeting provided an opportunity for the NDC to present their concerns with the Provisional Voters Register. As you may be aware, the Provisional Voters Register was recently exhibited as part of processes leading to the preparation of the final Voters Register ahead of the 2024 general election. In their presentation, the NDC indicated they had identified 5 issues with the register. The NDC further stressed that the concerns they have identified would warrant the Electoral Commission to accept a forensic audit of the voters' register to assuage the fears. Of stakeholders. In addition, the NDC requested for re-exhibition of the voters' register. 3. The Commission informed the NDC that the discrepancies they had detected were not new. The Commission noted that it had detected the same issues and had taken steps to correct them. The Commission reiterated that the essence of the exhibition exercise was to address all the concerns with the Provisional Voters Register and assured the NDC that the issues identified were being resolved. The Commission assured the NDC that the issues they had listed were theoretical issues that the law had provided remedies for, as stated in the constitutional instrument on the registration of voters, CI 91, as amended by CI 126. 4. The Commission explained that the law envisaged that discrepancies would arise following a registration exercise and provided remedies for fixing the discrepancies, including the following: inclusion of omitted names, objection to names of unqualified voters on the register, removal of names of deceased voters from the register, replacement of poor quality or damaged voter ID cards, correction to wrong spelling of names, correction to wrong registration center codes, that's misplaced polling stations, and amendments to other registration details, example age, sex, etc., as a result of clerical error. These discrepancies the Commission identified at the meeting were all being resolved. The Commission again highlighted that the essence of the exhibition exercise was to correct any discrepancies in the provisional voters register before it was finalized for the general election. 6. The Commission explained the four-pronged approach it had adopted to resolve the discrepancies in the provisional voters register since 2020. This approach involved 1. District electoral officers checking their registers through the register viewers to ensure all voters who registered in their districts have their names and correct dates of birth in the register. 2. Exhibition officers scrutinizing the copies of the register given to them to establish that all the names for each polling station are properly captured, including the multiples and exceptions registers. 3. Voters who go to check their details at the exhibition centers or online also provide information that help correct their details if need be. And 4, IT staff who have access to the register viewer work with our officers to correct discrepancies from the field. 7. The Commission indicated that it had adopted this transparent process involving key officers at all levels with the sole purpose of ensuring that all registered voters had their names in the voters' register. It is important to note that all the discrepancies were identified by the Commission's own internal processes. I am pleased to note that as we speak, they have largely been resolved. Nevertheless, the Commission assured the NDC that the issues they had raised would be investigated and a report produced and discussed with them. The EC requested a copy of the discrepancies identified by the NDC at the meeting. This was not given to the Commission. Unfortunately, several calls and requests to the NDC to obtain a copy of the discrepancies have yielded no results. 9. During the discussions, the NDC proposed that the Commission undertake a forensic audit. While the Commission did not reject the proposal for a forensic audit of the register, the question is, what purpose will a forensic audit serve? The NDC's detection of discrepancies with the provisional voters register is not new. As the Commission has maintained, that is the essence of the exhibition exercise. It is to correct discrepancies. This is what is being done, as has been the case in the past. It is not new. Then, the Commission is of the view that the forensic audit is not what is needed at this time. It is premature. 11. The Commission wishes to inform the general public that the voters' exhibition exercise in itself is an audit. The exhibition offers an avenue for the auditing of the register. It unearths discrepancies and allows for prescribed legal processes to correct the discrepancies. Perhaps this is the first time the NDC has taken interest in the register. Otherwise, one would have expected them to call for such an audit of the 2016 register, which contained photos of plants and animals representing voters. It is important to note that, contrary to what is being alluded, since 1992, the voters' register has never been audited. 12. The exhibition exercise enables citizens to verify their details and allows for the unearthing of discrepancies in the register. Additionally, it provides for the correction of discrepancies in the register. This is not new. This has been the practice since 1992. The process of cleaning and strengthening the voters' register is well defined by law. We have also noted comments by the NDC to the effect that the very doctor that created the problem should not be the doctor that will resolve the problem. The EC must agree for an independent body to audit them. The EC holds a contrary view to the position held by the NDC. We reiterate that it is the EC that is clothed with the responsibility and capacity to address discrepancies in the provisional voters register. The Commission has been doing this since 1992. It has the experience to do this and does not require any external organization to do its work. We reiterate that the law makes provision for the self-auditing of the voters' register through the voters' exhibition exercise. The exercise makes available the provisional copy of the register and allows citizens to verify their details and point out discrepancies with their details. Additionally, the same law allows for the correction of these discrepancies by the EC at all levels, from the field to the districts to the head office. This is the laid down, tried, and tested process, and it works. What then is the purpose of the proposed forensic audit? The Commission is of the view that such an audit will add no value whatsoever to the well-defined, tried, and tested process voters.
So you're hearing Samuel Tete of the Electoral Commission. He's a deputy chair of the Electoral Commission there. The understanding is that they are responding. We know that the NDC has engaged the police and are going to go on a demonstration on Tuesday, raising concerns about the current electoral register. They are demanding an independent or forensic audit of the register. The EC has just been telling you that they've gone through the process. The NDC failed to submit the list of difficulties they have or discrepancies they have with the register to them. So, but they've done all that they can. And an exhibition exercise, one which just ended, is one of the ways that the register is actually audited. So to them, there's no need for further auditing. Indeed, they also insist that there's no need for any external body to actually audit the register. They are still within their mandate. They have done this since 1992, and certainly we can continue with the very statement from the Deputy Chair of the Electoral Commission, Samuel Tete.
The register is almost near perfect of the discrepancies. We have also noted comments. Alluding indicated at the meeting that it had identified some 50,000 persons who were dead on the register. The Commission once again requested the details of the 50,000 dead persons and assured the NDC that it will work with the District Assembly and Birth and Death Registry to expunge the names from the register. As with the data on the discrepancies identified by the NDC, we are yet to receive the list of the dead. The Commission strongly believes that the surest way to attaining a credible and robust register is not through demonstrations. There is simply nothing to demonstrate about. This is because the Commission has repeatedly requested the data on discrepancies from the NDC to no avail. We are of the view that the stance taken by the NDC will not produce a credible register. The Commission is of the view that the best place to resolve the issues they have identified is the discussion table. We urge them to submit details of the discrepancies they have identified to enable the Commission investigate the issues and demonstrate to them that the concerns they have been resolved. As indicated earlier, the EC assured the NDC during the meeting that it would conduct a thorough investigation and report on the issues they had detected within a week. Why are they refusing to submit the data to enable the EC to investigate and provide a report? The EC believes that the best way to ascertain the credibility and integrity taking to the streets table, not on the streets. Taking to the streets will not ensure a credible register. It will only cause tensions and suspicions, which are unwarranted. We call on the former President of Ghana, an eminent and respected statesman of the Republic, to encourage and bring his party to the table, as that is the best place to address issues and ascertain the truth regarding the voters' register. We are confident that the former president will heed to our calls and do everything in his power to bring his party to the discussion table. On our part, we assure the NDC of a transparent process that would demonstrate to them that all their concerns have been resolved. The Commission wishes to state that almost all the discrepancies identified have to date been corrected. As in 2020, the Commission is committed to providing the country and all political parties with a robust and credible voters register that will guarantee free, fair, transparent, and credible general election in December 2024. We urge the public to trust the EC to do this again and again. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Katim. General information, we are not taking questions. Therefore, we should be speaking the first act. Thank you for saying that. Thank you very much. So the members of the Electoral Commission just completed the press conference. The crux of the matter they had put out there is quite simple. First and foremost, they've not been given details of what the NDC considers to be discrepancies in the electoral roll. Those details they want to see and evaluate, and all the issues that the NDC had brought to their knowledge earlier, they had resolved, and they believe that there is no external body that's actually going to do a better, a more detailed, or a better appreciation of the current register and fix the problems in it than they in the Electoral Commission. They've been doing it since '92. The other point they raise also is to do with Tuesday's planned demonstration by the NDC. They specifically isolated former President John Dramani Mahama and called him a statesman who should call his party to desist from that particular act of going on the demonstration. They did not believe demonstrations resolve problems. They believe the conversation should be on the table. They're asking the NDC to come back to that discussion table with them, with all the details that they've been discussing, including the 50,000 or so, they say are dead people on the register they want dealt with. That is the latest from the Electoral Commission. You just had the press conference there. It appears there's not going to be any question and answer session, as the members of the commission, after the press conference delivered by Samuel Tete, who is a deputy chairperson in charge of operations, they had to pack up and leave that particular office. We should be able to bring you subsequently more on this. But as I did tell you earlier in this conversation, the understanding is that the people who have set up perhaps the biggest, the most important charismatic churches in the Republic of Ghana, earlier today issued a statement. They are called the Apostolic Fathers of Ghana, and the Apostolic Fathers are represented in studio by a member. They are demanding a temporary halt to all form of small-scale mining. Will this be heeded? You heard the minister say something like it's going to cost us more than 40% of the amount of money we earn from that sector if we do so. I have in studio with me tonight a member of the Apostolic Fathers and chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Full Gospel Church International, Bishop S.N. Mensah. Bishop, you're welcome.
Thank you very much, Raymond.
I would, in the tail end of this conversation, ask you about this, what is happening between the NDC and the back and forth between the AC. You have to do a forensic audit or else you go on demonstration, or if you do not do it, the AC says there's no need for that anyway.
Yeah.
Perhaps we can even start with that. Is that necessary? We have a couple of months to elections.
Well, I think as a key stakeholder, NDC is naturally concerned about the transparency of the whole elections. And therefore, if they have issues, they have the genuineness to express that and the right to do that. However, this whole problem has been because people are not trusting the state institutions.
Okay.
And over the many years, we have seen it, that any party in government will support the EC. Any party in opposition would rise up against the EC. So this has played out over the many years. I think the request that the NDC is asking for in 2016, I recall there was a similar situation where the NPP requested for some forensic audit. The NDC felt there was no need. Now the tables have turned. This should tell us that these political parties must begin to learn to trust state institutions. Having said that, we should also make sure we don't give reasons why people should doubt state institutions, especially looking at the kind of members we have on the board. you know, it has been assumed that some of them have some leanings with the current government. And so when that happens, it dents the authority and the transparency of the institution. But I think gradually, as we keep on growing in our democracy, we will get to a level where we can trust our state institutions. And some of these things will be a thing of the past in future.
Now, the statement that was issued, and personally, this is the first time I've seen a statement from the Apostolic Fathers. Is this the first time they've issued a statement?
Indeed, publicly, this has been the first time the Apostolic Fathers have issued a very strong statement like this. They've been in existence for about, you know, of course, as you expressed, they are the key founding leaders of the charismatic movement in the late 70s to the early 80s. However, they have all been speaking on different subjects at one time or the other.
Certainly.
However, when it comes to this particular subject, this is about the first time they have come together as a bloc to really deal with this life-threatening situation, Raymond.
Now, exactly what is the demand here? We stop all forms of small-scale mining. But the minister says that will be a very dangerous proposal. He says our economy will tank because these guys, when it comes to the amount of money we get from mining, they are giving us 40%.
So the minister is trying to suggest that, well, we should go in for the profit, the money, as against the health of the 30 million Ghanaians, when, you know, there's a possibility of food poisoning in the food we eat, the water we drink, the health of our people, in the face of the admonition from the Ghana Medical Association, with all these state institutions that have advised us, if we don't do anything about it, naturally, we are at risk. Our health institutions will collapse. I think our ministers, or perhaps this minister in charge of natural resources?
Yes, lands, natural resources.
I think they can put profit ahead of the people. That should tell us that they are not interested in the well-being of the people. Some of us have called for his resignation. He should step aside. He has no clue as to what he's doing. He has no idea what he needs to do. You can't put, you know, profit of finance ahead of the people. I recall during the COVID period, our president said, we don't know how to restore life back, but we know how to restore the economy. So if this is the principle, let's think about the well-being of the people and not against us to the kind of money and profit we are going to make.
But some say we still know small-scale miners who are presumably, or in the minister's understanding, doing what is right. Why do we use the same brush to clear all?
I think under this condition, the starting point is to have a short-term measure, a medium-term measure, and then the long-term measure.
Okay.
So for the short-term measure, the view is that I agree with all the key stakeholders what they have requested. A total ban so that they can really control what seems to be going on and then follow all the 5 points I think TUC and all the other stakeholders requested. Once that is done, then you can be able to find a way to do that. I have come up with, in the midst of all that we have been discussing, Raymond, I see like a 6P approach. You know, what is the purpose of it? The political will is needed. There must be a plan for that. Policy that will drive it. What programs will be needed? And finally, the partnership. So when we call for the purpose is that it is life-threatening, it is destroying our people, it is giving us the possibility of health hazards and what have you. Now, we need a political will. That is the second P, the political will. And throughout all these discussions, the need for the stakeholders coming on board is as a result of lack of political will over the years, and especially in these 7 years, for this whole thing to be kept and to be controlled. So if it has to succeed, that political will must drive it. That is why they are calling on the government to ensure that he can ask the military to take over and make sure that this thing can be brought under control. If we now put on beyond the political will, then what is the plan? Then the plan must be a short-term measure, medium-term, and then long-term. Then you look at all the policies that governs our mining activities. The laws some of the laws need to be revised. Some of the laws needs to be looked into. Then you look at what are all these policies. How can now we situate it to ensure that we can mine, but not at the blind side or at the risk of the life of the people? Then what kind of programs needs to be put in place? People's livelihood will be affected, and so we need to make sure, whilst we are doing that in long term, how do we establish the lives of the people and create jobs for them? I don't see where a community or a town that produces gold wouldn't have good roads, wouldn't have good hospitals, wouldn't have good, developed, entities there. I strongly believe that if it is a community that provides us these minerals, that must be a top first-class city.
Okay.
It is unpardonable for those countries or those towns to produce the gold, and yet they are not developed. So you see, under the programs, whilst we are restoring, we should ensure that there are industries there. Two, we should ensure they have the best of roads, the best of hospitals, the best of schools. They must have the best of everything, because that is the town that produces these facilities. But as we speak, if you go to all these towns, you realize that Accra is far better than them. Most of the cities are far better. They don't have good roads. They don't have good facilities. That is unpardonable for us. So when we come to the programs, these are the long-term programs that must be put in place.
Okay, so that they are not made to feel like they are producing the minerals for you, and yet they are not benefiting in any way from it.
That they are aware of. It shouldn't be. Okay. It shouldn't be. And we need that political will and a long-term plan to put that in place, so that at least their towns and cities can be an attraction. People can even want to go there because it's let's go to Obuasi. It's a top-class international town or city or what have you. Okay, and then the partnership, the last P will be the partnership that will call for all stakeholders that will now manage this long-term process as to how do we manage it, how do we make sure that we bring things under control. I believe if we adopt these 6, of course, it's not new. Based upon all that has been expressed, I see these 6 thematic points.
Encapsulating all.
Oh, that's exactly. I watched it yesterday, I listened, and I've read the concerns, and I've looked at all this, and I could only summarize into these 6 Ps. If it is well put in place with a partnership and a commission that will manage it, we can deal with this, and within the next 7 years, we can reclaim our land and then settle the issues.
Minister Samuel Abujinapo says the president has held a meeting with security couples and is in the position to, first, of course, the police is being deployed, but the military will follow soon. Is that good news?
It is partly good news, but the point is that he shared his thoughts yesterday that he was asking all the regional ministers, the RESEC, to take over and provide the leadership. So didn't he know that the president was going to do that? It appears, in my view, there is no proper coordination between his office and the office of the president. And I think this is the missing link. They are not giving a solid message of hope, solid message of conviction that they have what it takes to solve the problem. And I think at this point, Raymond, you see, in crisis, the first voice you need to hear is the voice of a leader.
Okay.
And unfortunately, we are not hearing
the voice of the minister?
No, the voice of the president.
Oh, okay, I see. Oh,
okay, in crisis, the first voice you need to hear, the voice of the leader, the one in charge of the whole institution, and that must be the president. By this time, when the communities, stakeholders, other state organizations, CSOs, are calling for total ban, we need to hear the voice of the president. The president did a fantastic job during the management of the COVID. Every week he was in our homes and communicating, giving us updates. He was totally in charge. I mean, my recent book I wrote on the 10 quality leadership principles, I cited him, his ability and skill in managing the COVID. So In crisis like this, the president must come and calm the nerves of the people, let them know that, look, I'm going to ensure that the military will take over, the military will make sure there will be a total ban, and we will put in the necessary measures for the safety of the people and for the future of our people. But
I don't know.
We're not hearing from him.
I'm reading his exact words, and these were the words he used. The various regional security councils have been tasked to conduct recording sounds, reconnaissance and scrutiny of their various areas and begin to roll out swoops and enhance the enforcement regime. Now, so in the days and weeks to come, we will see the heightened and rampant enforcement. Then he proceeds to say, the Ghana Police Service at various RECSECs will be the first port of call. If the need arises, we will take it to a step further by including the Ghana Armed Forces when the need arises. We will possibly begin the extraordinary measure of decommissioning equipment used for illegal small-scale mining. I see words like police is doing this job. If there is a need to take it a step further, then the military will be coming in. And we will further include, that's the words that they use, if the need arises, we will also take it a step further and include the Ghana Armed Forces when the need arises. And again, it says here, we will possibly begin the extraordinary measure of decommissioning equipment. This phased approach, do you think it meets the urgency of the current situation?
No, it doesn't seem to suggest to me, and the minister doesn't probably seem to see that we are in crisis. He doesn't seem to appreciate the concern of the public, the concern of the citizens, the concern of major stakeholders in our country. I think either the minister has run out of ideas and he needs to work with other probably well-organized bodies. He must listen to what is being expressed in the past 1 week.
Okay.
And then to find out what needs to be done. The clarion call is get the military, that declare the whole place as a security zone, get the military to come in. This is a life-threatening situation. I don't think the minister is getting the message loud and clear. And the minister must graciously bow out and get another team that will be able to manage this process.
Except that, Bishop Doctor, these recommendations are coming out of a certain meeting that the president met with security couples of the country. Is it not perhaps a better group with a better understanding or a more strategic appreciation of what is at stake than most of us sitting back, or our reporters on the ground, or the people who have seen the devastation and all of the things coming through? Would you not give them the benefit of the doubt?
If they have something, information we don't have, then they have the responsibility, especially our president, to convey that message, convince us, assure us. Because as it is now, we are all aware from what the Ghana Water Company has said, we are losing 60% of the treated water. Only 40% is what we have. And even that, it is not the best of quality.
That's true.
The president must assure us, these are the things I have now put in place. Having heard from my security couples, having heard from all the state agencies, this is what I think we need to do. And then show us the way that this is what you are doing. And should there be the need to bring the military, you are ready to do that. But if you are not conveying those messages, and we are only hearing it from your minister, it's not good enough. May I advise our president, by the grace of God, I'm a leadership expert. In difficult moments and in crisis, there is only one voice you must hear, and that is the voice of the president, and not that of the minister. The president must be briefed. He must know what is at stake and convey the message. In leadership, when you want to test the atmosphere or whatever, the temperature of a room, put the thermometer under the armpit of the leader. Okay. The readings will determine the temperature of the atmosphere. So the temperature is hot. The situation is alarming. The president must address the situation not through his minister. He must take over the responsibility and drive this.
Now, that's an interesting perspective. My guest in studio is Bishop Dr. S.M. Mensah. In fact, if you saw the statement from the Apostolic Fathers of Ghana, he is one of those undersigned as a member of the grouping. So we're exploring that statement. Bishop, I get you saying that nobody can convince you that stopping small-scale mining is not the right thing to do right now.
No, it should be the right thing to do by stopping.
Okay.
The galamsey. It should be the right thing to do because, one, we have lost control already. Our country has, the government has lost control in the management because you remember the president said he was putting this presidency on the line.
Yeah.
And then he went to sleep. Thereafter, it's been worse off. So we have lost control. And literally, what we need now to do is that the president must provide that leadership. And that is the call of everybody, including this recent call of the Apostolic Fathers. If they assure the nation, and then we see the military there, and we are seeing evidence, they should also go with the media to make sure that every action they are taking, the media will be there to publish it, communicate to the people. You see, at this stage, you need to carry the people along with you. The steps you are taking, the actions you are embarking on, carry the people. You can only do that with the presence of the media. It will give assurance to the people that at least you are doing something to be able to deal with the challenges that we are dealing with now.
Now, the Apostolic Fathers called on politicians and traditional leaders to stop their involvement in illegal mining. That's a bold statement. I mean, what kind of response do you expect from these groups?
You mean from the Apostolic Fathers?
Yes, I see the politicians and traditional leaders. What kind of response do you expect from them? And how can they be held accountable?
The point is, if now they can identify those who are involved in, they should have them arrested. They should have them arrested. It's not just a matter of name and shame, but name, get them arrested, and then not only just arrest, but prosecute them. And then let them confiscate everything they have earned through this galamsey. If we don't have a law like that, in future we must come up with a law where when you are prosecuted and convicted, they will confiscate everything you have acquired through this illegal mining. Okay. So that they can use those resources.
But that's an interesting perspective.
Yeah, so that they can use those resources to repair the damage you have made against the nation. That is very important. But why should they only prosecute you, jail you for 3, 5 years or 15 years, come back and come and enjoy what you have created and the money or the wealth you have acquired? You should lose everything so that it becomes unattractive to anyone who will go into it. So the police, the politicians and the traditional leaders must be held accountable if they are found culpable or guilty in this particular approach.
There's a question about spiritual leaders and clergy yourselves. What role do you see these specialized groups like men of the cloth like yourself playing in addressing the galamsey crisis? And how can they mobilize their congregation to support this cause? Because if we claim that 70% of this population is Christian, it will presuppose that some of the people who engage in this illegal are also Christians. How can the church help and act differently?
First of all, I think the church can spend maybe the next 4 Sundays, 5 Sundays to start speaking on this galamsey issue and then challenge the church members about our responsibility, our collective responsibility in saving this situation, that either we all stop or we all die. We change or change will change us. We change or we all perish. And so for the sake of the next generation, we need to do something. So first of all, they can spend the next 4 or 5 Sundays and talk about it and then challenge the members that, look, they need, if they are involved in it, they need to stop. Those who probably they know who are involved, they need to encourage them to stop. And then if there is the way for people, probably they will go out there and demonstrate and put pressure on government, and they have the ability, they should also get involved. In other words, everybody must get involved, and we can do that through the preaching, through the teaching, and also getting involved and making sure that whatever the stakeholders are conveying, the church can also support that.
I have heard said we can equally blame prosperity gospel for this problem. Do you agree or disagree? That's a pointed attack on the church.
That must be a view some may hold.
You disagree?
No, I disagree. The point, look, there are other nations, they don't have natural resources,
and yet
but they prosper.
Yes.
Okay, they don't have natural resources, but they prosper. Prosperity is a God bless. There's nothing wrong. God will bless the work of your hands. If you do what you need to do with your hands and you work, well, you will be blessed and you will prosper. There are people who probably don't go to church. The most wealthy people in the world are not church people. They follow principle, and the principle of hard work, dedication, commitment, vision setting, strategy planning.
Okay.
It will bring you the necessary wealth you need. Wealth will not come as a result of fasting and prayers. Wealth comes through hard work. Wealth comes through dedication. Wealth comes by sowing something by what you work for, with, and then you reap in return.
And not necessarily because the church has been putting in the minds of the people that they can actually get wealth without working for it.
No. I mean, God's word doesn't teach us that we can get wealth without working. In God's kingdom principle, you cannot get wealth without working. That would be robbery. God said he will bless the work of our hands. So it is what your hands would do. Whatever your hands would find, do it well and be diligent with it. Once you do that, you will be able to turn things around. Those who have prospered around the world and the most wealthiest people are people perhaps they don't even go to church.
There are two more questions about, since I have you here, I'll ask you all about the role of the church. They say if you spend quality time turning the hearts of the people, we will not have these problems on our hands.
Well, there could be a point in what they are saying. Turning the hearts of the people means that, I need to understand what exactly you mean.
As in, this is an evil act.
Yes.
People whose hearts belong to God do not engage in acts like that. So if the church has succeeded in making sure that it turns people in the right path all through, these things will not be happening.
To some extent, yes. But again, our nation or our government has a responsibility to improve the lives of the people.
Certainly.
That government has a responsibility to shape the lives of people and empower people. I keep saying, what is the essence of leadership if it does not improve the lives of people? That when you have been entrusted with resources, when you have been entrusted with state resources, remember, listen, you see, we live in an environment where people, and the youth especially, are not being inspired by the kind of political leaders we have. They are not setting the right example. They are not motivating the people. So people are losing interest in being patriotic. People are not ready to defend Ghana. People are not ready to sacrifice for Ghana. People are not ready, like the moment they finish universities, the next thing is that they want to probably, get opportunity and get out of the country.
I see.
Because they are seeing political leaders who come into office within 4 years, acquire so much wealth.
They have so much wealth.
And then what would then inspire them when you tell them to sacrifice? What should they sacrifice? When you got there 4 years, you've acquired that wealth. So our political leaders are not inspiring the young men and women to be much more patriotic and be committed to Ghana. So it is like, a quick fix approach. But if they would set exactly. If they can set the right example, people can be much more patriotic, because we are losing that spirit of patriotism. We are losing that spirit of Ghanaianness. That what makes us Ghanaians, what makes us to be patriotic, to work for Ghana, serve our country. But you see, if they can set that example, people, our young men and women, would be ready also to die for Ghana a little bit. So we will call for through the preaching, but it is what they see that can either inspire them or discourage them.
Are there no repercussions for speaking up at this time? Some have complained that this list of distinguished men of God, if you had consistently raised this matter early on, perhaps we will not get to this point and the level of devastation today. What prevented you, as ever distinguished men of God with huge following, who can command people to act right, from speaking out right from the beginning?
I think the same argument holds for maybe why other CSOs now coming on
even
board.
the TUC coming in at this time.
I was just going
yes.
to say that the same argument will hold for the TUC and other organizations, that why now? Even the Ghana Medical Association, though they warned us, but now they came forcefully.
Yeah.
UTAC, why now?
Yeah.
So sometimes people will want to observe, hoping that other bodies are working on it. So they were expecting some changes. But now when they realize that, look, having heard especially the Joy FM documentary, the Joy FM documentary, I think Erasmus, that rather, I think that did the trick. Having said that, and that stirred up the entire other state bodies to really rally other stakeholders together, that probably called the Apostolic Fathers to say, hey, listen, I think we should also add our voice to this so that we can communicate to the nation that this is serious, something has to be done.
To all intents and purposes, as we have heard from the minister, the likelihood that they are going to suspend or temporarily suspend small-scale mining will not happen. What can the Apostolic Fathers do?
Well, I think TUC and the other allied groups have given up to 2 weeks from now, by the end of September, that if they will not go by that, then they are going to take much more drastic.
Yes. In fact, they insisted specifically that they will do demonstrations and end it, culminate it into a strike, a total shutdown of the workers of this republic in complete protest.
So in view of this, I believe by that time, if by that time nothing is done, the Apostolic Fathers will come up with a word, as to what they will, whether they will support that approach, as to, is that to be the final strike, So I would say that when the time comes, the Apostolic Fathers will address that. But definitely, they have called for a total ban. If nothing happens, some of us will endorse what the TUC and the allied groups have called for, because it's about life-threatening now. We don't have livers, organs, kidneys on the shelf to be bought and to be replaced.
That's true.
These are life-threatening situations. And for the sake of our children, for the sake of the next generation, we need to do something. Our life is at stake. And in 2 weeks, if government is not doing anything, the next thing is that possibly everybody will join the mass movement.
Now, the last question I have for you is, what is your response to those who say, we have a couple of months to an election? This is probably making government unpopular and a very terrible timing for these advocacy.
But who's told you government should ever be popular in any way?
I didn't get that point. I wasn't expecting the first responsibility anyway.
Yeah, but who said government should be popular in any way? The job of government is to improve the lives of the people.
Certainly.
And if you are not improving the lives of the people and you are not popular, who called for that? Who caused it? Somebody will say, now who caused it? The job is that you have been entrusted with state property, with state resources, and that you are responsible to manage these resources. If you have failed to manage these resources to the extent that it is now life-threatening, nobody calls that. Government was responsible for this, and if government has failed to do that, it's not for the pleasure of the people. But unfortunately, this is the government that is responsible.
Okay.
If it was not this government and any government,
of course, anybody failing to do that,
responsible for that person will be held responsible for that.
What's been the feedback so far? What's been the feedback after the issuance of this gargantuan statement? What's been the feedback?
Well, I think it has sent a solid message to the community, to the nation. It has given them a clearer message that, look, there are these fathers there. They have been speaking as individuals on different subjects. But this one, it is more or less, it's like they have reached the dead end of their road. And so there's nothing that can be done than for them as a collective body to speak that we can't continue in this direction. Our children are going to die. Our next generation is going to be extinct, and therefore we must do something. I think it has sent a solid, positive message.
Should we expect more statements coming from the Apostolic Fathers?
I think so, based upon how things will evolve, Raymond.
This I had in studio with me in this conversation, a member of the Apostolic Fathers and chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Full Gospel Church International, Bishop Samuel Noy-Mensah. Bishop, I'm grateful to you for your time this evening.
Thank you.
Folks, many thanks to you for also joining today's edition of UPfront.